2019, so let's make it a good one. My name is Dave Shrine. This here is Steve Edwards, and for the next 60 minutes, we are going to be talking mules, donkeys, feed, living quarters. We're going to be talking trailering. We're going to be talking correcting bad behavior, bits, saddles, everything that you want to know about mules and donkeys. This is the place to get those answers. Steve, how is your day going, my friend?
Hey, my day is doing good. I know what it's like now to go into town. Well, you and I just had lunch with your team, and all those cars and people, you can have them. I like it out here.
That's right. So, Steve, what's your car, real quick, for everybody?
It's a '49 Mercury four-door that's been hot rodded. And one of these times we'll have to get a picture up where everybody can see it.
So yeah, I didn't get a picture of the car from the outside, but I did get this picture of all of us riding from the inside there. Can you see that there?
Yeah, sure can.
So that's me and my team. Steve came, picked us up, took us out to barbecue. It was fantastic. As a matter of fact, that's a really good question for folks to answer today. If you are watching, we are so glad that you're here hanging out with us, and we would love it if you would go ahead and tell us your name, where you're watching from, and throw in there the best barbecue you have ever had in your life. Go. We want to make sure that we know that you're here. Steve, you got a picture of your car there? You're trying to find it, aren't you?
Yeah, I got it right here with my border collie puppy. Went with that would be the second place. Can you see that?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's red. It's got,
I think it moved a little bit.
What's
I
that?
think it went to the next picture.
Oh, that fire! That fire! There we go. There we go. How about
there we
that?
go, right there. Look at that, folks. It is the real deal.
Yep. 49 Ford with suicide doors, flathead V8, 3-speed standard transmission. It's a lot of fun. Not near as much fun, I gotta say, as a mule on the side of a mountain. But I tell you what, it's doing good. You know.
That's good. That's good. Well, if there are any other fellow hot rod lovers out there, Steve always loves talking shop. Feel free to send him a picture of your machine. But Steve, we're going to talk mules and donkeys for the next 60 minutes. You okay with that?
Hey, I'm on that one. Matter of fact, I'm having my iced tea from Mark Williams. He sent me my cup here, special cup.
There you go.
For my iced tea. So
special delivery for Steve Edwards iced tea. Very good.
Yeah, it's a great cup you made up for me.
Awesome. Cool deal. Well, here are the rules. The first thing, they're really more suggestions than they are rules. We're here to have fun. The number one thing is that you just let yourself be known. And so I already said that. Go ahead, put your name in the comment section. Let us know that you're here. Let us know that we're not alone. Let us know that what we're doing is hitting the spot, that you want us to keep doing this. And go ahead and share where you're watching from, and tell us where's the best barbecue place you've ever been. The second thing that we ask is that you share the broadcast. You share this broadcast. If you're watching on Facebook, down at the bottom, there's going to be a little button that says share. Press that. Put a little comment so folks know what it is you're sharing to your wall. Let them know that they should be coming over and hanging out with us. And then the third thing that we ask is, or that's the third thing. The second thing is that you ask any and every question that you have. What we've found is a lot of times folks think, oh, we've already talked about this. Oh, they answered this question earlier on, and I kind of didn't know what they were saying, but I don't want to be a bug. No. It's no bother at all. We want to know everything that you need to know so that you can get back out there and quite honestly, so that you're not out there wasting time, wasting energy. We want you to enjoy spending time with these animals, not get all frustrated and flustered.
Right.
Of course, that happens. We got to overcome it, but we want to equip you so that you feel confident when you step out there into the corral or into the arena or into the round pen or hey, that you're comfortable in the saddle when you're on the side of a mountain. We want you to feel like you are in control. So We've got a few questions to get going. Before we get to those questions, I want to just say hi to Virgil from Alabama. We've got Lisa from San Diego. Lisa, I'm going to be out in your area next week. That's going to be a lot of fun. We've got Josh from Colorado. We've got Rebecca from North Carolina. So we've gone East Coast, West Coast now. We've got Linda from Queen Creek. So we've gone local again. We've got Eileen from sunny Nebraska. This is fantastic. And we've got folks over on YouTube as well. Let's see. We've got Tim from Parma, Idaho. Best barbecue was in my backyard. Now that is a man who I would like to hang out with. Tim, if we are ever in the area, can we give you a call up, get that smoker going, and we'll get out there and have some barbecue. Sean says, happy to see you back this week. Thanks for answering a few questions for me over the last week, Steve. Sean, hey, it's a pleasure. I know I can speak for Steve and say nothing gives him more joy than to be able to get out here and answer some questions, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to get started here. So the first question that we're going to start off with is fat mules, Steve. We're going to talk about fat mules. Marcia sent us a message. She said, my mule is too fat. 2 days ago, confined with no pasture. She has walked the fence almost nonstop all day, only on pasture from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Another mule is confined with her. Second mule stands. She's not a problem. Is there something more that I need to do? That's from Marcia. Steve, what would you say?
No, there's nothing more you can do, Marcia. I mean, that's what they'll do. Even if you don't have them in a pasture, if another mule leaves or another horse leaves, some of them they're very forward mules. And I can also tell you that if you got them two mules in the same pen, if you separate them and put the one that's quiet in another pen, then that one will start walking too. But there's nothing you can do. It's just part of life. That's a very forward moving mule. Mule wants something to do, and out there in the pasture, unfortunately, they like it too much. They need a muzzle on them, if you're putting them out there a short time like you're doing, that's a wonderful thing. That's a good thing. They don't need to be out there all the time, but not much you can do other than just ride them out. Put them in separate pens, I would.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that's good. I had sent Marcia quite a few resources just about, feed, nutrition, things like that. But ultimately, you can't get the mule out of the mule. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I like people worry about mules that are set in front of a gate and they swing back and forth. Two of the best mules I ever had, Tom and Katie, Shire mules. They're wanting to go. They want something to do. That kind of mule you climb on to get work done.
Yeah. Yep, very good. All right, let's keep moving right along. And folks, if you've got questions, put them in the comment section. We give priority to the questions that come in live. We love the comments that come in throughout the week. We love the emails. Absolutely want to answer those. But if you're here watching live, ask your question because we will get to it almost next, right? We'll get to it right away so that if you need to get back out there and get to work, then you can do that. I know we got a lot of people who watch or who listen while they're doing work. So next one here, this one comes from Crystal. Crystal says, I'm considering getting a mule to add to my farm. Is there anything very important that I should know? That seems like a loaded question there, Steve. Maybe give her one or two things that maybe she ought to look at getting started with, wanting to add a mule to the farm.
Yeah, well, one thing you don't want to do, and folks, this is really important, what you don't want to do is get them a stall mate or a pasture mate. I've had people get them goats. I've had people get them Shetland ponies, and they can't go anywhere without their pasture mate. They don't need it, When it comes down to the mules, they are very subservient to a horse. So if a horse comes in the picture, they'll buddy right up to the horse. They don't really need anything other than just be able to maintain them. Ride them. Don't put them out in the pasture where they're going to be eating all the time. They'll end up with grass founder really quick. And it can go on and on and on, but there's a good place to stop. We got lots of resources. I'm sure Dave can send some stuff to you. They'll be helpful to you.
Yeah, awesome. So we're moving right along here. We got a few more people that chimed in on Facebook and YouTube. Eric Palmer. Hey guys, it's getting hot out here in AZ. Eric No kidding. It is getting hot out here. We've got the AC turned on here in the office, but it seems like no matter what it does, it's like, man, if you come in, you cannot get cool fast enough. Although I will say, Steve, it always seems to be about 3 or 4 degrees cooler out by where you are, and those are the sweetest 3 or 4 degrees I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah, I was just looking here. My thermometer says it's 90 out there right now. You know?
Yeah. It's in the mid 90s out here, so that's what I'm saying. Life's better on the ranch, I guess. I guess that's what we're learning. Tim says best barbecue, Parma, Idaho. Best barbecue was in my backyard. Yep. Jack says Johannesburg, Michigan, watching today. Jack, we're glad to have you. Kim says Overton, Texas. Suze Kuiper, Long Ears and Stuff Europe. From Long Ears and Stuff Europe. Suze, we're glad that you're here. We have gone international again. Tim has a question. Tim's question is this: I've been given 2 Mammoth Jennies, mother and daughter, 5 and 3 years old. Which DVD do you recommend me to start with? They haven't had a lot of hands-on. Good question there from Tim.
I would start with that Saddle Donkey Foundation. You'll see one that I took from the ground to the saddle and rode it in the round pen and then rode him outside. And that'll give you some good information there. But especially groundwork. I suggest with everybody, you bring a new mule home, that ground communication kit, get that. It comes with a rope halter, comes with a rope, and it comes with a how-to video. Number one, I always say groundwork, groundwork, groundwork. And then you go from there into the saddle.
Awesome. So I am putting a link right now, and folks, that's how this works. Let's see here real quick. I pushed the wrong button. Let's get back here. There we go. Whenever Steve makes a comment on a different product or a service, that's not what we're here for, but sometimes you're going to need a particular tool. When that's the case, I go ahead and I put that in the comment section. So I'm going to put a link to the Mule Ground Foundation starting kit, and that is probably the number 2 most popular thing we sell. The number 1, I would say, is probably the come-along rope. Number 2, number 3 is going to wind up being rope halter, the Mule Ground Foundation starting kit combo. Folks just love those. And you know what, Steve? You see this. The comments that we get, it just works.
Yep.
It just works.
Oh, yeah. I've had people all the time say, well, I had a lady right here in Arizona. She calls me up. She says, we were trying to shoe the mule. Last time the shoe was shod the mule, no problem at all. This time, couldn't hardly get him to stand still. So he said, what do I do? I said, the come-along hitch. Man, she called me back 2 days later. She says, we've had an awesome 2 days. We've been using the come-along hitch. The mule's been standing quiet. The farrier got his work done, yada, yada, yada. It's a wonderful tool to communicate with. When they respect the halter, everything else kind of falls into place.
Yep. That's great. So over on YouTube, we've got Vicky watching from Queen Creek. We've got Richard Estelle. And Richard says, great question. I love this, Steve. I'm 67 years old. Am I too old to start riding mules?
Oh, heck no. No, you're not. I'm 69 and almost got bucked off last week. But Uncle Bud rode till he was 97. So you're never too young to start, and you're never going to quit when you get started. Nice.
You know what? And on the flip side of that, I think that young piece is true. We had my two-year-old up on the back. He loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's one of his best memories so far, and I guarantee you, Steve, he's going to remember that. Great question, Richard. And Richard, we're really glad that you're here hanging out with us. Ask any question that you come across. We want to make sure that you get out there and that you really enjoy the time that you spend in the saddle. Micah says, hello. Been a few weeks since I've been able to join. Micah, we've been missing you, but we're glad you're here today. He says, Daddy said I have missed some really good information. Daddy's right. Daddy's absolutely right. We've got Mark Williams and Haley Williams watching. It's 70 degrees here, and it feels good. I try to watch them all, but sometimes I miss one, so I watch the replay. People think they know everything, but you always learn something new by watching you. Still enjoying my saddle that I have for 10 years, and I like barbecue anytime. I actually just had barbecue ribs for supper. Now, that is a supper I can be down with. I'm a big ribs fan. Steve, I forgot. What did you get when we went out to barbecue just now?
Oh, it was pulled pork on top of macaroni. Never had that before. Mac and pulled pork. It was really good.
Did you like it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really tasty. Matter of fact, I'm gonna be barbecuing this weekend. We're gonna take my 49 Merc. And oh, excuse me, I'm going to
That mac and cheese hitting you right now.
set in. We're gonna pull the gash out of it and put some new gauges in it and this sort of thing. And we're gonna cook some barbecue ribs. I like those barbecue ribs that Costco has. Man, you get this big set of ribs and put them on that grill. Oh my goodness, that's good eating. You know?
Yeah, Costco's got a lot of good eating. A lot of good eating, especially if you go around for appetizers as you're purchasing your food. All right, here we've got Jack says 58 degrees here in Michigan, but my apple trees are fully blossomed out. Man, Jack, send us a picture. We'll share that on the Facebook post, on the Facebook page. Would love to see that. Trisha says, hi, Steve. Trisha here in Arlington, Washington. Love how my donkeys lead after a few months of using the come-along rope. Thank you so much. That's what I'm talking about, folks. We get that all the time.
Yeah.
Folks say that come-along rope actually works. Linda, follow-up question from Linda. She says, am I too old to ride? I'm 73. Steve, is 73 too old to ride?
Never too old. Climb in there, get it done. I mean, tell you, take it off of your bucket list and get it done.
That's
and
right.
The guy in Michigan with apples, blossoms, I got apples on my trees. Actual apples. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm going to have to get me one of them. I'm going to have to get me one of
Right.
them. All right, we've got David from Pueblo, Colorado. David, I have your question. We'll get to your question next. We've got Astra hanging out with us again. Astra, really good to have you. I'm glad you're here. We've got William, worming your mule and how often? 78 and still riding. So William right there saying, I am 78 and I'm still riding. Y'all get on the back of the mule. Let's do it. So worming your mule, how often do you need to do it?
You know, I do it once a year. It's what I prefer to do it, and I change out the wormers all the time. I think this last time I used Semectin. Comes in a tube. Just cut a pretty good sized hole in the end of the injection port, and put it right up in the corner of the mouth. And if you'll take and rub their nose a little bit, and then kind of hold their nose, just kind of squeeze it, and then real quick, stick that syringe up there and pop it. You'll be done with it. You'll be just a second. So I do it once a year.
Now, I was looking at the next question. I want to ask real quick. Do we need a twitch for that? Do we need the humane twitch for that?
You shouldn't have to. They usually do pretty good with it. But I can tell you that if they run into a problem, you know, then they do need to use that twitch. It creates natural endorphins. I'm not saying take a rope with an axe handle on it. Don't do that. But this, what I use creates natural endorphins. And it makes them drowsy and quiet. I have stitched them up. I've even castrated these guys with this twitch.
Yeah, so I'll tell y'all, I went out there to film this video for Steve. He says, Dave, I need to get you out here. We've got some folks who need to do some doctoring on their mules, and I need to shoot a video so I can get it to these people. I said, okay. So I went out there, and Steve, I'll tell you, the first time I saw you use that, I was like, you got to be kidding me. That looks incredibly painful. But I witnessed it with my own eyes, and on the video that you have on your website, it showed. The animal was anxious. The animal didn't want to be worked on, didn't want to be touched, had some issues with his eye going on. Steve takes this humane twitch, grabs the front of the nose, kind of the mouth nose area, installs the twitch on it, and the video shows you how to do it, and starts kind of like compressing a little bit and releasing these endorphins, and you see the animal just calm down, relax. Steve administers the medication. A-okay. It really was something. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So I put a link to that in the comment section. We've got Susan from Pennsylvania. Steve, I got to attend your clinic at Hoosier Horse Fair. Thank you for all of the info you shared. Did you enjoy your time out there at the Hoosier, Steve?
Oh man, those people are great. They really did awesome, and a lot of folks. There was a new venue. But I tell you, that venue is going to be really good for them. It gets them out of the city, out in the country, open aired area. It's a great place to do an expo.
That's awesome. Yeah, that'll be great. I know that that the only reason why you got invited back this year, because they usually don't have the same clinicians back 2 years in a row, folks called them up and said, you have to have Steve Edwards. You've got to have mule and donkey people represented. And so I'm glad that that was able to happen. Eileen says, I raise pork and grow corn for Frito-Lay. So she's probably got some pretty amazing backyard barbecue. I raise pork and grow corn for Frito-Lay. So we may be having to take a trip out to Nebraska.
Ooh, my goodness.
Cornhuskers. Let's see. Kate Richter from Western Washington. In search of my donkey. It's out there and can. So I think maybe it got cut off there. If you got a question, Kate, we want to hear it. We're so glad you're here. Neil Campbell says, hi, Steve. I love my new Trail Light saddle. It fits like a glove. Fits so well. My daughter took the mule barrel racing this weekend. How fun. That's awesome. Wow. Let's see. My brother-in-law just hopped on. My brother-in-law is Phil. Phil, how's it going, man? It's good to see you, buddy. He just hopped on. He's sending me text message. I said, Phil, I'm on a live stream right now. I can't talk. You got to hop in. Come hang out with us. It's wild. So we've got Linda. She's got a question here. And actually, before I get to Linda's question, I want to get to David's question. David's question is, can you train your mule with a Bossel? Bossel.
Oh, yeah.
Bossel, Bossel?
Yeah, Bossel.
Bossel.
Bossalis.
What is that?
It's basically a braided noseband that's in a teardrop form. It goes around the nose, and there are different weights. You can have them really as thin as your little finger, or as big as big around as your big finger. Actually, even about that big. And it's a great tool, but I really hesitate having many people use it, simply because mules care more about their nose than do their mouth. So my focus first is usually a halter, which I don't ride in, and the come-along rope to get them foundation started. Then the mule rider's martingale, and if I think they're really going to go good, then I'll use a Bossel.
Very good. So we've got another question here that I was about to get to. I told David we get to his, wanted to honor that. So Linda's question is how easy, and you like these questions, Steve, so I know you love answering these. So really great question, Linda, and you gave Steve one of his favorites. How easy to teach a 20-year-old mule, 16 hands, to lay down to mount? How easy is it to teach a 20-year-old mule, 16 hands, to lay down to mount?
Okay, folks, I'll just lay it right out there. I flat don't like laying one down to mount. Unfortunately, I've seen the end result of one of them, where one person got dragged, and the other big problem is with me is what you're doing to their spine. It's easy to teach one to lay down. Is it good for them? No, absolutely not. We were not meant to climb on their back to start with, to get on and off, let alone have one lay down and get up. You can put out ribs. The biggest problem is what can happen with the tendons. So it's easy enough to do, but it's not good for them. Just get yourself a good mounting block and find a stump and call it good.
So the follow-up question that I want, and this is the one that I know, and this kind of that one kind of started on it, and this finishes it up. Is a mule too old to be able to train them? Shouldn't I be going to get a young mule that has not had any work done yet, rather than getting some old mule that's already been messed up?
No, any of these aged mules, it makes no difference how old they are. To me, I'll start them all the same. I'll start a 3-year-old. I'll start a 30-year-old the same way. I always start with ground communication, start with and go from there. But these mules are easy to train. The big problem is you got horse trainers training these mules, and therein lies the problem when they start using a lot of horse techniques. I'd rather have someone who has very little experience go with a mule, do something with it. They can get a lot more done.
Awesome. Very good. So the next question that I have, this comes from a gal named Kathy. She says, what do I feed to get my mule to shed evenly? Actually, the clipper can only handle one side at a time when I clip him. He's shedding uneven. What can I do to get him to shed evenly?
There's nothing you can do. That just some of them shed really fast. some of them shed really slow. I had an old mule by the name of Tom, a Shire mule, and it would be all summer long before he would start losing any hair to speak of. And it's usually right around his belly and his middle. But there's nothing you can do other than using the clippers and just do a lot of brushing.
All right, very good. You know, we had a question on shedding and trimming last week, and we got one this week. So, you know, folks are getting out the trimmers, getting those mules ready for the summer. It gets pretty hot out there. Next question we've got. This one comes from Rebecca. Excuse me. Hello, Dave and Steve. I have a question for your consideration. Well, Rebecca, consider it received. I have a question for someone like myself who will be eventually getting my first riding mule. Congratulations. Where do I start when I bring him or her home? What would be the first thing you recommend I start with to acclimate my new mule to my farm and to myself? I have 2 gelding horses, both 14 years. I have a front pasture and a huge back pasture. They are separated by riding ring in between. I can close off the front, riding ring, and back pasture from each other. Sorry for the long-winded question, Rebecca. Nothing to be sorry for. Steve, what would you say? I think we've got a welcome home Mr. Mule situation here, don't we?
Let's see. What was that question now? No, I just it was a long question. No, it's not a big deal. You know, we got to get the points across. Yeah, welcome home, Mr. Mule is a great one. You know, number one, folks, don't just put them out in a pasture with a whole bunch of other animals. You know, if you do that, then they don't need you after that. You want this animal to need you. You want this animal to recognize you as the herd leader. So I suggest put them in a small pen. My pens are 10 by 20, and they're easy to catch. They want to come out of that corral. They want to do something, and that's the fun thing. I want them to, pardon me. Oh,
it's that macaroni again.
It's that macaroni setting in on me. Okay, so that's what I would do. Bring them home, start by doing my groundwork, 4 to 6 hours a week, and in 6 months you'll have something pretty solid that'll pay attention to you. But groundwork. Get them home, groundwork.
Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and put a comment section or comment in the section saying welcome home, Mr. Mule. And that's a really popular article that we've had on the website about, helping folks bring their animals home, get acclimated. So hopefully that gives Rebecca what she's looking for. We've got a couple more people over on YouTube hanging out with us. We've got Doc says, Mule likes to cow kick real slow when working near her hip. What would you say there? Mule likes to cow kick real slow when working near the hip.
Yeah, well, at least way she's being kind of nice, saying that is not what I want you to be doing. That's what she's doing, especially when she does it really slow. She's at least being nice and asking you not to do it. So I personally would put the come-along hitch on there, and I would do the training with the come-along hitch. And then when she gets an opportunity, she's thinking about kicking at you. As soon as she kicks at you, bump with that come-along hitch. And that will fix the problem.
All right, so I'm putting a link in the comment section to the come-along rope. We've already had several references to that, so just in case folks don't have that yet, they really want to look at getting that. That's a great corrective tool. Susan Henderson asks the question, is it okay to add a chin strap to the Martingale? So, Steve, you've got the Mule Riders Martingale. Is it okay for someone to go ahead and add a chin strap to that?
Okay, the reason I don't put a put a chin strap on a snaffle bit is, number one, it does no good other than help you from pulling the bit through the mouth. And if you have to have it to do that, you need to back up, because the idea here is you don't pull the bit. Don't pull it. You ask by turning your hand and impulsion direction. When you pull it through their mouth, that means you're pulling too hard. The idea is we want them soft. You're not riding a horse, you're riding a mule.
All right. So we've got some friends who just hopped on. David and Di from Australia. All right then.
Hey, David.
I mean,
David. They were a lot of fun when we had them up here at the ranch.
Oh man, it was so much fun. Di sent me a great video of the kids. It was, guys, we miss you already. It was such a good time. We're glad that y'all are hanging out with us. He says, "Good morning, Steve and Dave. We had the best time with you guys in Arizona. Keep up the good work. Cheers, Dave and Di." So glad to have you guys here.
They went to Bishop too.
They did, yeah. So Bishop, it just wrapped up the last weekend, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, very good. So if we got any folks who went to Bishop, put in the comments section. Let us know how it went. Let us know what your favorite part was. There's a lot of cool stuff. I saw stuff coming through on Facebook from mostly from Di. She was documenting their whole trip. It was awesome. So really glad they were able to get out there, and really glad we got to spend some time with them. Let's see. Eileen says, "Hey, if we want to come out to Nebraska, please do. We'd love having you." So Eileen, we'll put that on the old noggin right there, and if the time and day comes, we will let you know. Let's see here. David Pengelly, if you guys check your mailbox tomorrow, you should find coffee to wash down those oysters. Enjoy my cocktail and the Steve and Dave show. That's awesome. It's very good, David. I appreciate that. Let's see. Tracy McKinnon, listening while feeding up. All right, very good. Eileen asks the question, should I use the come along to apply fly spray? If I use wipes, we get along fine.
Yeah, wipes is always better because you can go against the hair rather than having the fly spray lay on top of the hair. So you can take the wipe and actually go against the hairline and get the backside too, and actually will last you longer. But yeah, if the mule is dancing around, you can be good, put yourself in danger. Put your come along hitch on.
All right. Very good. Come along hitch to save the day yet again. Let's see here. We've got another question. This is from Sean over on YouTube. Sean says, how often should you float your mule's teeth? What if you can't see any sharp edges?
Yeah, it's not a matter of seeing them. It's more feeling them. It's what you have to do. So I realize, Sean, it's a little bit difficult to explain, but I literally reach my hand in there between the incisors and the back teeth and put my hand in there. I get a hold of the tongue. I pull it back out of the way. I give it a twist, hold it, and I can run my hand in there. The easiest way for you to do it is take the lower jaw, upper jaw, move it back and forth, and you'll hear the grinding. And then you call your vet up and say, get out here and do it. Listen, folks, even if your vet says it don't need to get done, it needs to get done. Once a year, every spring, get it done, you know.
Very good. So this one right here, this next question came in from Karen on Facebook. And so Karen asked the question, okay, so it's a little bit long, but let's listen up here, get through it, and we'll get to the question. I have a mini donkey I purchased several years ago. She's a pet of mine. I had a hay person who had excellent hay for me to feed with. She loved it, been healthy, good balance for 2.5 years. Then my fiance messed up the buyer-owner relationship because he chose to not go pick up the hay again. Because of this, I ordered, and the seller had enough of the problem, no-show, especially when the hay would be left, not picked up. Let's see. My mini donkey developed founder in her front left hoof. My farrier I used is disappointed. He said hopefully I caught it early enough and not to get it so bad. But her hoof grows 3 times faster than her other 3 hooves, and she limps once it gets a certain length. Is there any action I can take to remedy or lessen the effects of the flounder? She says flounder. Is she mean founder? Or
founder, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Founder. This poor girl did not deserve this. So what would you say there to Karen about this founder in the hoof?
Yeah, and a lot of times those founder hoofs do grow faster than the regular hoof. They do, and it's really easy for a donkey to be foundered. It doesn't take much, but the best thing you can do is keep her trimmed back. That's the very best thing. Maybe learn to do it yourself. Maybe trim it between the time of the farrier, but it's not that difficult to do.
Would it be? Would this be something for your shoeing video that you've got if someone's not experienced with shoeing and trimming?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Like I said, folks, sometimes we got to
Okay,
provide some resources. Sometimes we need to provide tools. Other times it's just a matter of getting out there and doing the corrective behavior that you need. Which reminds me, since we're about halfway in here, I want to make sure to welcome anybody that's new, anybody that's just joining us. My name's Dave. This is Steve Edwards. We've been friends for over a decade. Steve's been training mules and donkeys all the way since back when I was just a baby in my mama's belly. And we made the comment today that God knew that the internet was going to be coming along, and at the same time Steve was getting into mules and donkeys, God was saying, okay, we'll make sure you got an internet guy for when that day comes. And so it's literally a match made by heaven. But we hang out every Wednesday. We just talk mules and donkeys, and if you have any questions, we want to hear them. As a matter of fact, there's 3 things we ask. Number 1, just make sure you say hello. Put in the comment section. Just type in there with your thumbs or with your fingers. Just say hello. My name's so-and-so, where you're watching from, and today we're asking the question, where is the best barbecue you've ever had? We had Dickie's today, so we're thinking a little bit with our bellies. It was really, really, really good. We had free ice cream afterwards. So the number 1 thing is let yourself be known. Number 2 thing is go ahead and ask your question. Any question you got. It doesn't matter if we've already talked about it a little bit or you feel like, man, I don't want people thinking that I'm asking dumb or stupid or simple questions. You know what? The only dumb question is the one that you don't ask, which is why we are here to answer every single question that you've got. And the 3rd thing that we ask is that you share the broadcast. Whenever you come across Queen Valley Mule Ranch stuff, the best way to help continue to allow us to do these is to share it. And so sharing the broadcast is a really huge thank you from you to us that we gratefully accept. The next question we've got here, so if you got questions, put them in there. Next question we got here, this one's a little bit long. Let's see. Actually, you know what? I'm seeing it's the exact same question we had from Debbie on Facebook. She sent in also on email as well. So that's the same one. We already answered that one. Let's keep going here. Joey over on YouTube has the question. Hey guys, Joey from Safford, Arizona. Steve, what do you do when a mule starts to buck while you are starting a mule? Do you try to ride them out or get control of their head right away? What do you do?
Yep, I usually will. If one going to bucking, I can't get him out of it. I hang on to my night latch and ride it out the best I can. Kind of like what I did last week. That mule didn't kick me. Some people thought he'd kick me. He kicked toward my dog, but then he went to bucking pretty hard. And when you have 1,000 pounds hit you like that, that's painful. But you hold on the night latch. Usually I'll take my hands and go right, left, real quick and get him to stop. And if it looks like I'm going to ride it out, hang on to my night latch and ride it out.
Very good. Ride it out. So Rebecca, she sent in her email, and then she's also watching live. She says, thanks much. I will check. Let's see. Steve, Dave, thank you so much for your recommendation. I will certainly check out Welcome Home, Mr. Mule. Rebecca, I just put that in the comment section for you to take a look at. So hopefully that'll give you something to go off of there. Now, we have someone who just joined us, was competing last week, which is why she wasn't here, and I believe she placed. We've got Yolanda from the Netherlands. Yolanda, it's good to see you again. I said, hey, I sent her a message on Facebook. I said, hey, we missed you this week. She goes, this is why, and it was a picture of her with her mule and a big ribbon on there. So Yolanda, tell us in the comment section where you were competing, and if that was indeed a ribbon pinned on your girl. We would love to hear about that. That would be fantastic. Let's see here. We've got Karen, says, Karen from California, I just completed the John Wayne trail ride from Easton, Washington to the Idaho border. My mule Sally Mae did wonderful. It was such a training experience for my mule. What an experience for her. Bicycles, wagons, horse carts, and a lot of horses and mules. Now, I want to ask you this question, Steve. I want to take my mule out there. How do I desensitize my mule so that when I get out there with these cars and wagons and horse carts and trucks and everything, how do I desensitize them so they don't go crazy when I'm doing a trail like this?
Well, you're not going to get them desensitized. There's no such thing. Because I've taken them out and been around traffic and this sort of thing. You think they've got it, and all of a sudden they have a trailer goes by that rattles a lot, scares them, or a truck with an air brake on it. Lots of different things that can happen. So you never say desensitize when it comes to equine mules, donkeys, horses, all of them. What you do have to do is ride them out. You got to just ride it. That's the best thing to do. Always right, left when it's something you don't want, and go from there.
Yep, very good. That's a question that I don't think we can answer nearly enough. We always get desensitizing questions, and I love the idea there that you can't desensitize to a bear because you don't have a bear lying around. So you've got to work on your communication skills so that when that comes around, you can minimize and mitigate any of the damage. David Pengelly asked the question: if you use a crouper and a britchen at the same time, is that like two guys? Is that like guys who wear a belt and suspenders? Steve, I love the britchen, he says.
Oh, Pengelly, you're slaying me. You're quite a character.
Wasn't he kind of scaring you a little bit there?
Yeah, he was. That rascal, he's been using it. I caught him red-handed. He was riding a tail crouper, and I give him both barrels. Anyway, now he opened up a box yesterday that had a britchen in it, and he's set. So I said, don't be no more crouper. Your mule will get you someday. Not really. No, your mule will pay the price.
Yeah.
Dave, the problem is we don't know how much pain they're in. They brace into it, and it's a sad thing to see one's back broken because of a tail crouper, and then you have to put them down.
Yeah. Yep, we've told that story multiple times on all these broadcasts that we've done. And that reminds me that we are just about done with a brand new series of videos. And folks, if you have not signed up for Steve's email list, you could possibly miss out on it. We have an entire video, and it's just one of 13 actually. We have an entire video that is all about the britchen. And it goes through the britchen adjustments for angled terrain for going up, britchen adjustments for going down, britchen adjustments for riding level, and all of the other essential parts of the saddle fitting, tack fitting skill there. So I'm going to put a link in the comment section. I just want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to sign up for that. But I want you to get that because it's going to be a fantastic series that we're going to be releasing, and the best part is it's going to be free. So make sure you get on the actual. That's right there, Steve. Wake up. It's going to be free. Folks are going to love it, and it's going to make a big difference in a lot of people's lives. I'm very excited about it. Neil Campbell has a question. Neil chimes in saying, how do I get my mule to stop banging on the gates? He kicks at the gate. She kicks at the gate with her front feet. This has been a common theme here over the last several weeks. What would you say to Neil?
Get you 2 straps to go above the knee, get you about 16 inches of heavy chain, and put it around each knee. And then let the mule paw. And as he paws, it's going to bang against his cannon bone. It's going to make him uncomfortable. Now, the split second, this mule quits pawing, run, get the hobbles off, tie him up where they can see him, and watch him, and you will see that they will quit pawing at that spot. They won't quit pawing all together because it's natural for them. But if you put those chains on there, don't leave them on. Wait until they stop pawing. Take them off so they can see the difference between. We don't paw here, but it's okay to paw wherever else you want to paw.
Very good. Let's see here. Lori Neely says, great shirt, Steve. Tell us about your shirt real quick. Actually, I'll say this real quick. So Steve came out to Chandler where me and my team are at. I have 3 people plus myself working here in the office. Steve said, hey, Dave, I want to come out there, take you guys for a ride in my 49 Mercury and treat you all to lunch. And so he took us to Dickey's Barbecue. We had an amazing lunch. And when we got back, Steve, after you dropped us off and drove off, Carlos goes, I've been getting to know him a little bit here or there, but I didn't know he did all this stuff. So tell us about your shirt real quick. Lori made a comment, and so we got to know.
Yeah, it's one of my hot rod shirts. It's one of the things I kind of like collecting. Shows different hot rods, different colors. And I usually wear this shirt during 4th of July or Memorial Day weekend, something like that, but usually 4th of July. And it's part of me being with the cruisers. I'm with the East Valley Cruisers. There's a bunch of old guys like me, and we go out and we drive our hot rods up around the roads and things like this, and we go to hamburger stands, or we go to Bash's parking lot, and we set up a car show, free car show, different things like that, and then we try to put together money to help out kids programs and this sort of thing.
Very good. So yes, Steve is a hot rodder, and so if you see someone riding down the street, it might be Steve. It very well could be Steve cruising in the 67 Falcon.
It was a 64 Falcon Woody Wagon.
64 Falcon Woody Wagon or the 49 Mercury. Mark Miller's out in Virginia's got a good question. Mark Miller says, can you tell a story about one of your favorite mules and what you liked about them? Favorite mule, what you liked about them?
Oh, golly. I guess I'm just going to have to say Casper. My very first mule. What I liked about him, he always kept me thinking. I never knew what was coming up next because he's my first mule. So he kept me thinking, all right, I got to do better next time, or I got to not do that next time, or I better do more of this next time. But he taught me a lot. He was a great mule.
So that's a really good segue. We've got all of these broadcasts that we're now making available on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. And in the first episode, so I'm going to put a link in the comment section. In the first episode, Steve actually goes into talking about how he got into mules and donkeys, talks about Casper, why he decided to buy Casper after Casper bucked him off, and talks a little bit about getting his start there, learning from the old cowboy ways, and then realizing that equine are not all the same, that the mule and the donkey, they deserve some special attention. They deserve to be respected as unique animals. And so I put that in the comment section there. Go there, subscribe. It's free, and I think you'll really enjoy it. We got a question from Leslie over here on YouTube. She says, what is a good fly mask for a mule? I put one on my guy, and at the tip of the ears, and the tip of his ears are bent now. Less than a week. I hope they straighten out. So what do you got to say there, Steve?
Well, I personally don't like a fly mask with ears as well. Just leave hair in the ears, and it'll do just fine. I like a fly mask. Actually, I designed one. My mom used to make them. I go again.
That one right there, that was the pulled pork.
Yeah, pulled pork. Okay.
That was the pulled pork that time.
My mom used to make them. I designed them, but they nothing on the ears, and it just went around the eyes itself and the face, and it was great.
Very good. Very good. Let's see here. Linda says, I did that on an old horse with a knee strap chain. I'm wondering what we were talking about there. Yolanda says...
Gate.
Oh, pawing at the gate. There we go. Yolanda says, yo, how are you folks? Here we are stuck in the middle of a huge thunderstorm. Man, I'll tell you what, I would give anything for a thunderstorm right now. Clouds come out, cover the sun, cool everything down with some rain. But a lot of times where folks get a lot of that, they don't really quite enjoy the rain. I would take any of it. Leslie follows up with that saying flies are eating at the back of his ears too.
Oh, golly. Well, I usually will put a little Vaseline on the ears, especially once they've been chewing already. We've got that new products that we've been talking about from Equus that we need to get up online where people can see them.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan Davis from East Texas says, better than never. Dan, we're glad that you're over here hanging out with us. And you know what, Steve? I think this is the first time this has happened in a while. We've covered all of the questions that I had written down, and all of the questions that folks have brought in here. So we'll hang out here for another minute. We'll see if anybody else has any final questions that they want to throw in there. But I wonder if other people had pulled pork, macaroni. I had the kielbasa with pulled pork on top and on a sandwich. And I'm feeling it a little bit too. We might not be the only ones out there with a little bit of barbecue in our systems this afternoon. Let's see. Doc asked the question, Molly balks when asked to leave on her own. Molly balks when asked to leave on her own. What's that mean? Balks, yeah.
In other words, he kind of is hesitant about going. That's normal. That's what they do. They don't want to leave the herd. So you have to make the herd uncomfortable. And you do that by, when she feels like she's sucking back, wanting to balk, then you tap her with the spurs, put your hands down, give her the direction. But you have to use spurs to make that area and those mules uncomfortable.
All right. So I say that we've gone through all our questions, and then they start pouring in here. We've got Dina asking, regarding the Martingale, can you use it riding in the mountains with the brush and trees? I don't know about things getting hung up in it.
Yeah. Dina, I do use it a lot in the brush, the mountains, and the trees. Absolutely. Have I had any problems? Not that I can recall. On my breast collar, I have a little ring right here that you can put it through if you want. But I do use that Martingale. I've used it in snow country. I've used it crossing rivers, lakes, in brushy areas, all over the place. It's a great tool. And I won't ride a lot of these animals without it. It's a great tool.
Very good. So we had a question come in, and this one's actually a little bit similar to one we came in earlier. This one's from Linda. She says, what do you suggest for a first-time mule owner? Been a horse trainer, but not a mule trainer. So is a mule or donkey well started? Be good? Well started, be good.
Yeah. So what she's saying, I think she's saying, take a young animal that's well started, would it be pretty good? Well, that depends on how much groundwork they did, if that was correct, if the bitting was correct, if first saddling was correct. That sort of thing is really important to know. But a good foundation, without a good foundation, you're not gonna get anywhere. I've had people tell me all the time that their mules really trained well. We end up, it's not trained well, just he's got a great disposition. But it don't take much to get him over the hump to have him trained right.
Very good. Let's see here. Dina says, thank you. You're welcome, Dina. So I think that's pretty much all of our questions for the week, Steve. That's everything that we got. And you know what?
Yeah.
We went long the last couple of weeks. Maybe we need to have a little bit of an early stop here. Folks are getting out there and actually, what do you say? Getting out there and starting to put things to practice. So there we go. Oh, go ahead. I think I lost you there for a second.
Me that they're pregnant and these cows were. That's we worked all last week, weekend just before I got here, and that's really for a cow outfit, 97% calf crop. That's going to be great.
So I think we missed that real quick, Steve. It's getting choppy. So real quick, you're going to see my video disappear. The folks aren't going to see it. You're going to see my video disappear. Go ahead and tell me what that was again that you were saying. Share that one more time.
Okay, so I was saying down at the Andrada Ranch, they were preg testing on Saturday, and to see how many were actually pregnant, and 97% of those cows were pregnant. It was phenomenal. It was great.
Very cool. As we're wrapping up here, Yolanda's got a final question, and Doc has a final question. Yolanda's is more of a statement. She says, "I trone one in. My mule loves Shetland ponies. Now what do I do?"
Oh my, yeah. Well, it's going to be tough. You're just going to have to make the Shetland pony uncomfortable, and that is when the mule wants to stay back, you're going to have to bump him, bump with your legs, or bump with your hands in order to get the donkey away from the mule.
There you go. And then here we go. Final question for the day. Doc asks, Molly lets me lift her front legs out of kindness, but not the hinds. Should I tie the leg up?
Well, if you have to, yes. Use the come-along hitch is what I like to use. Probably that video, Dave, of the come-along hitch would be a good deal.
I will do that. There we go. Steve, that's it. That's it for this week.
How about that?
Yeah, we took care of business pretty efficiently. I will pat myself on the back. You should pat yourself on the back too. I think we did a pretty good job. Folks, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Now, I do have a real quick announcement. Next week, we'll be taking the week off. Me and my family, we're going to be vacationing. And Steve, we've just been working Steve to the bone here. He's showing up every single week. We've been working him to the bone. So we're going to give him a week off. So next week we will not be live. So when you don't see anything from us, hey, don't get worried. We are okay. This has been planned. Me and my family are going to take a very much needed vacation to California. So we're excited about that. But be on the lookout for the information that we're going to be releasing here very shortly about this new course that we're putting out there. And we're going to do a very special presentation, not next week, but most likely the week after. So we'll get info out there on that. Folks, thank you so much for hanging out. You are a blessing to us. We hope that we've been a blessing to you. If there's anything that you need, 602-999-6853 or send a message to support@muleranch.com. Steve, any final words?
No, let's get her done, folks. We'll miss you next week, but the following week we'll hit it again.
All right, there we go. Thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your week. God bless. We'll talk soon.
Bye.